icons, I can't get enough of icons. Isn't it iconic?
Understanding what we're looking at is where the fun is. Sometimes you can just tell by looking. We plan to be looking at a lot of the saints one by one, but let's go big at the start. Let's look at all the saints. There's a repeating pattern for some All Saints icons. The round circle, it's indicative of a Greek Orthodox influence. The Russian Orthodox All Saints are often squarer. So let's zoom in. All that greenery shows we're in paradise. It's a nice place. On the left-hand side at the bottom, there's Abraham. He's holding a righteous soul. I know it looks like a nickel baby. Sometimes you can see it's actually a fully grown person. Sometimes it does look like a baby. Abraham, remember, was the one who was about to kill his own son Isaac when God stayed his hand. So it's an interesting case for fatherly caring virtue. There's a little crowd behind him, and they're perhaps the pre-Christian saints, so there's no halo around their heads. Speaking of good fathers, on the right-hand side you'll see Jacob holding his children, all 12 tribes. So you'll remember those from the Lloyd Webber musical, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Yeah, those slightly murdery guys. Then up in the top left you've got King David. He's the one who killed Goliath with the sling and wrote all those psalms. On the right there's his son King Solomon. He was the wise one, the one who offered to cut the baby in half when the mothers fought over it. In his book God Knows, Joseph Heller portrays Solomon as an idiot and David embarrassed by his son. He sort of indicates that Solomon really intended to cut the baby in half. That's not the point of the story, but it is funny. That's Jesus in the middle. He's often wearing a crown. You'll see that Jesus, King David and Solomon, they're all holding text, which, and I'm paraphrasing, all allude to that rather golf clubby way we sometimes see heaven represented. Only the righteous, the chosen folk get in. Solomon's text, for example, is, "But the righteous live forevermore. Their reward is also with the Lord, and the care of them is with the Most High." Well done, righteous. But if there is any elitism, it's really undercut by the guy in the middle at the bottom. He's the penitent thief, also known as St. Dismas. He's the good thief you see on Jesus' right hand in crucifixion scenes. There's a tradition he's the only person we know for sure is actually in heaven, because Jesus himself says, "Today you will be with me in paradise," which in almost any other circumstances might come across as a threat. But I can't help but note it's just important that he's this thief, a penitent thief, makes it to paradise, and he's occupying a big important part right in the middle of this icon. On some icons you see beneath Jesus a throne. Tradition says it's Adam and Eve carrying on either side. It's easy to see why. It's gold. There's a lot of gold on these things, but again, things are pointing both ways. The throne is the empty throne. No one's actually sitting in it. And then surrounding Jesus is the great cloud of witnesses, all the saints. Now, I'm definitely not going to go through and try and identify each and every one, although I think it can be done with some icons. But I will point out a few. If you look at King David in the top left-hand corner, you can also find him again in the cloud of witnesses. In this case, King David is surrounded by Daniel, Jeremiah and Isaiah. Sometimes it's Daniel up in the top left corner. And of course, we mustn't forget the Virgin. That's her in red, quite a large figure. Slightly set apart more subtly, you'll see what are called the four living creatures. So you see St. Matthew the Evangelist as a winged man. You see John the Evangelist as an eagle, Mark the Evangelist a winged lion, Luke the Evangelist as a winged ox. So that's Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. They wrote the Gospels. You can see they're carrying an itty-bitty book. Finally, there's a little group of people who are important to the early Orthodox Church. John Chrysostom, there's St. Gregory, there's St. Basil of Caesarea and St. Nicholas. The first three are known as the three holy hierarchs. St. Nicholas is the outlier. But look at the way they're dressed, and you can see other representations. It's another way of actually picking them out because they're often in this kind of white and black rather dapper number. Either way, I love this icon. There's so many variations on this general theme, and you can often spot some people that you recognise, even though they might be a big change from one version to the other. I've given some references in the description. Like and subscribe. Thanks.